Robert and Lila Sanders married on a Tuesday and set sail the following Saturday for a year-long honeymoon around the world. 3 weeks later, a sperm whale breached beneath their yacht, tearing through the hull and sending them into a 6-foot life raft with 4 days of supplies. What followed was 118 days adrift in the Pacific with no rescue in sight, battling dehydration, starvation, and each other. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. 6 months before the whale, Robert and Lila sat in their cramped San Diego apartment, surrounded by nautical charts that covered every surface. The dining table had disappeared under maps of the Pacific. The couch held navigation manuals. Even the kitchen counter displayed weather pattern printouts Robert had been studying for weeks. "Look at this route," Robert said, tracing his finger across a well-worn atlas. The book had been his constant companion since he was 16, its pages marked with dreams he'd been planning half his life. San Diego to the Marquesas, then Tahiti, Fiji, and down to New Zealand before the cyclone season hits. We'll island hop through the South Pacific, cross to Southeast Asia, then through the Indian Ocean. Lila looked up from her laptop where she'd been calculating costs. $47,000. That's everything we have saved. It's enough. I've done this crossing 3 times as crew. The Pacific is expensive, but once we're in Southeast Asia, costs drop dramatically. We can stretch $1 in Thailand and Malaysia. She wanted this. God, she wanted this. But her marketing job at the tech firm paid $68,000 a year with benefits. She had a promotion review coming up in 3 months. Her mother had already called twice this week, asking if she was really going through with this crazy idea. "What if I get seasick for the entire Pacific?" Lila asked, half joking but half serious. Robert set down the atlas and took her hands. "Then we turn around. But you won't. You handled that 2-week course off Catalina without any problems. You're tougher than you think. 2 weeks versus a year is different. We'll take it 1 day at a time. If you hate it after a month, we come back. No judgment, no regrets." He squeezed her hands. "But Lila, I've been saving for this since I was 23. I've crewed on 5 major crossings. I've got my Coast Guard certification. I know these waters. This isn't some reckless adventure. It's calculated, planned, and completely doable." She looked at the charts again. The routes he'd marked in red ink showed a path that would take them through some of the most beautiful places on Earth. The Marquesas Islands where Gauguin had painted. The Cook Islands with their turquoise lagoons. Places she'd only seen in magazines. "My father was a merchant marine for 30 years, Robert continued. "Sailing isn't just something I do. It's in my blood, and I want to share it with you. I want us to see the world the way sailors have seen it for centuries. Not from an airplane window, but from the deck of our own boat, moving with the wind and currents." Lila closed her laptop. She stood and walked to the window overlooking the harbor where hundreds of masts swayed gently in the evening breeze. Somewhere down there was their future, or their grave mistake. She turned back to Robert. "Okay, yes, let's do it." His face lit up. "Really? Really? Let's sail around the world." Neither of them knew that in 8 months those charts would be at the bottom of the Pacific, and they'd be fighting for their lives in a raft barely larger than their kitchen table. The Horizon Chaser sat in her slip at the San Diego harbor, 32 feet of fiberglass and dreams. Robert ran his hand along her hull during the final inspection week, checking every inch for stress cracks or weak points. She was a Pacific Sea craft, built for offshore cruising, known for being overbuilt and bulletproof. He'd bought her 3 years ago for $38,000, spending every weekend since then upgrading her systems and learning her quirks. "EPIRB test," Lila called from the cockpit, holding the orange emergency beacon in her hands. She'd been running through the safety protocols for the 3rd time that week, determined to know every system by heart. "Wait," Robert climbed aboard. "Don't activate it, just show me the steps." Lila pointed to the antenna. "Pull this up, flip this switch to on. The beacon transmits our position to satellites, and rescue coordination centers get our location within minutes. Coast Guard responds within 24 hours, usually much faster." "Perfect. And if I'm unconscious?" "It auto-activates if submerged or if the boat sinks. It's in a breakaway mount." She secured it back in its bracket near the companionway. You'll never need it, but I know it. Robert showed her the life raft next, a hard-shell case bolted to the deck near the stern. 6-foot Zodiac. CO2 cartridge inflates it automatically. Inside, there's emergency supplies, water purification tablets, fishing line, hooks, flares, first aid kit, emergency blanket, hand pump. How much water? 4 liters in the ditch bag, plus whatever we can grab if we have time. He moved to the main cabin. But we'll never need it. This boat can take serious punishment. They loaded provisions that afternoon. 60 days of dried and canned food went into the storage lockers. 40 gallons of fresh water filled the tanks. Robert had calculated they'd consume 1 gallon per person per day for drinking, cooking, and minimal washing. With rain collection and their water maker, they'd have plenty. Lila organized the medical kit. She'd taken a wilderness first aid course specifically for this trip. Antibiotics, painkillers, seasickness medication, sutures, bandages, splints. I could probably handle a minor surgery if I had to. Let's hope you don't have to. The harbor master stopped by on their last evening. Frank Morrison had been managing this marina for 20 years and had seen hundreds of cruisers depart. Beautiful boat, he said, accepting Robert's offered beer. Where are you headed first? Marquesas. Should be about a 3-week crossing. Frank nodded slowly. Watch for whales in that approach. They're breeding this time of year. Had a sailboat hit one last season, couple from Seattle. Whale came up right under them. What happened? Lila asked. Boat survived. Cracked the keel, but they made it to Nuku Hiva. Just keep your radar on and stay alert during whale season. Robert waved it off. We've got radar. We'll see them coming. After Frank left, Lila found Robert in the cabin, checking the navigation equipment one final time. His father's compass sat in a wooden box on the chart table, a brass antique from the merchant marine days. For luck, Robert said, securing it near the helm. Dad crossed the Atlantic 12 times with this. Does it still work? Perfectly. Compasses don't break. He smiled. Ready for this? Lila looked around the cabin that would be their home for the next year. Compact but efficient. Everything had its place. Everything was designed for life at sea. I'm ready. Day 21 at sea. The Horizon Chaser cut through calm Pacific swells 800 miles off the Mexican coast, making 7 knots under full sail. Robert stood at the helm during the evening watch, one hand on the wheel, watching the sun sink toward the horizon in a blaze of orange and red. Lila emerged from below with 2 cups of coffee. I could get used to this. No seasickness at all. Not even a twinge. Turns out I'm a natural sailor. She handed him a cup and leaned against the cockpit, combing. I checked our position. We're exactly where we should be. Another 2 weeks and we'll be anchored in Nuku Hiva, drinking French wine. The past 3 weeks had been perfect. Steady trade winds pushing them west-southwest. No storms. No equipment failures. They'd fallen into an easy routine. 4-hour watches, dawn and dusk fishing, celestial navigation practice at night. Lila kept a detailed log, recording their position, weather conditions, and daily catch. Yesterday, she'd landed a 4-pound mahi-mahi using the lure Robert had taught her to troll. I can't believe we almost didn't do this, she said, watching dolphins play in their bow wake. Robert grinned. Your mother's still sending angry texts. She gave up after we lost cell signal. I think she's accepted it. Lila pulled out her journal, a leather-bound notebook she'd been filling with observations and sketches. Day 21. Position 12 degrees north, 132 degrees west, approximately 2,000 miles from Marquesas. Water consumption on target. Food stores excellent. Caught mahi-mahi yesterday. Robert taught me to read cloud formations today. Marriage status, still honeymooning. Read that last part again, she laughed. Marriage status, still honeymooning. Though my husband snores like a chainsaw. I don't snore. The dolphins 300 yards away would disagree. They traded watch at 8. Lila took the helm while Robert went below to check the bilge and engine systems. Everything was running perfectly. The water maker had produced 5 gallons today. The batteries were fully charged from the solar panels. The radar showed clear seas ahead. He came back up with dinner, pasta with canned sauce and the last of the fresh vegetables from San Diego. They ate in the cockpit as stars began appearing overhead. "I've been thinking," Lila said between bites, "after we finish the circumnavigation, what if we just kept going? Maybe buy a bigger boat, do another loop." "You hated the idea 6 months ago." "That was before I knew what this felt like. Out here, everything else seems so small. The job I was worried about leaving, the apartment, all that stuff, it doesn't matter anymore." Robert squeezed her hand. "One voyage at a time. Let's get to New Zealand first." At midnight, during Robert's watch, he noticed something strange in the water ahead. A disturbance on the surface, maybe 200 yards off the starboard bow. Probably just a school of fish or debris. He adjusted course slightly to give it room. The disturbance disappeared. He checked the radar. Nothing unusual. The barometer was steady. Weather forecast called for clear conditions for the next 5 days. Below deck, Lila slept peacefully in their forward berth, her journal open to that day's entry. In the margin, she'd written, "This is the happiest I've ever been." The moon rose full and bright, illuminating the empty Pacific stretching endlessly in every direction. Robert whistled softly, content. They were making excellent time. In 24 hours, they'd cross into Polynesian waters. He never saw the whale until it was directly beneath them. The impact came at 9:47 p.m., day 22. The horizon chaser lifted completely out of the water. Robert felt the boat rise beneath him, the wheel jerking violently in his hands. For one impossible second, they were airborne. Then gravity returned and the yacht crashed back down with a sound like a car wreck. Fiberglass cracking, metal shrieking, something fundamental breaking deep in the hull. Robert flew across the cockpit and slammed into the winch. Pain exploded across his forehead. Blood immediately started streaming down his face, hot and sticky, filling his left eye. "Lila!" He stumbled to his feet as the boat lurched sickeningly to starboard. "Get up here now!" Through his good eye, he saw it. A massive sperm whale surfacing 20 yards off the port side, its tail flukes breaking the surface as it dove. 40 feet long easily. 40 tons of muscle and bone that had just punched a hole through their boat. The bilge alarm started screaming. Lila burst from the companionway in her pajama shorts and tank top. "What happened? You're bleeding." "Whale. Hit us from below. We're taking on water." Robert yanked open the cockpit locker and grabbed the ditch bag. "Check the bilge. Tell me how bad." Lila disappeared below. The electric bilge pump was running at maximum capacity. She came back up 30 seconds later, her face pale. "The cabin's flooding. Water's coming in fast through a crack in the hull. It's already knee-deep." Robert's mind raced through their options. The crack was below the waterline and too big to patch. The boat was going down. They had maybe 5 minutes. "Life raft, now!" He grabbed the E-perb from its bracket, or tried to. His hands were shaking so badly it took 2 attempts. When he finally got it free, he saw the cracked display. The impact had damaged it when he'd hit the winch. "Start the inflation. I'll grab what I can." "Robert, your head!" "Forget my head. Move!" Lila pulled the life raft's deployment cord. The CO2 cartridge hissed and the raft began inflating on the deck. Robert dove below into the flooding cabin. Water was up to his thighs now. Cold Pacific sea water rushing in with terrifying speed. He grabbed 2 5-gallon water jugs from the galley. One was full, the other maybe 3/4. Grabbed the fishing kit from its locker. Reached for the satellite phone. It was already underwater, floating uselessly. His father's compass. He snatched it from the chart table as the water reached his waist. "Robert, she's going down." The boat was listing badly now, the starboard rail dipping toward the water. Robert scrambled up the companionway ladder. The life raft was fully inflated, tethered to the deck. "Get in, go!" Lila threw the ditch bag into the raft and climbed in after it. Robert tossed her the water jugs and fishing kit, then tried one more time with the E-perb. The activation switch clicked, but no light came on. Dead. He threw it anyway and tumbled into the raft behind Lila. "Cut the line!" She slashed through the painter with the emergency knife. The raft drifted away from the horizon chaser just as the yacht's stern began sliding beneath the surface. They watched the Horizon chaser sink in less than 4 minutes. The bow went first, lifting the stern high into the air. The yacht hung vertically, her keel pointing at the stars. Then she slid beneath the surface with barely a sound. A few bubbles, some floating debris, then nothing. Complete silence except for the gentle slap of waves against the raft. Lila started shaking, not crying yet, just violent tremors running through her entire body. "Oh God! Oh God, Robert! We're alive. We're okay." He pulled her close, trying to stop his own hands from shaking. Blood was still running down his face from the gash above his eyebrow. "We're alive. That's what matters." "The perb? I know. It's broken. I hit it when the whale struck." He forced himself to think clearly through the shock. Without it, nobody knew they were in distress. Nobody would come looking. Lila pulled away and grabbed the ditch bag. "First aid kit. Let me see your head." "We need to inventory first." "Your head is bleeding everywhere. Sit still." She found the kit and pulled out butterfly bandages and gauze. The moonlight gave just enough illumination to work by. The gash was deep, maybe 2 inches long. She cleaned it with an antiseptic wipe, then pinched the wound shut and applied 3 butterfly strips. "You might have a concussion," she said, wrapping gauze around his head. "Do you feel dizzy?" "I'm fine. We need to figure out what we have." Robert pulled the ditch bag contents into the center of the raft. Emergency blanket, 3 flares, fishing line and 6 hooks, small mirror, hand pump, first aid kit, water purification tablets, emergency rations, 12 energy bars, 4 cans of tuna, 2 cans of beans, small jar of peanut butter, the 2 water jugs, 1 5-gallon jug completely full, the other about 3/4 full, maybe 8 gallons total, his father's compass, miraculously dry in its wooden case. "That's it." Lila's voice was small. "That's everything. That's everything." Robert did the math. 8 gallons was roughly 30 liters. At 1 liter per person per day, the absolute survival minimum, they had 15 days of water. The food wouldn't last a week. "When will they start looking for us?" Robert stared at the empty ocean. "We weren't due to check in until we reached Nukuhiva. That's 3 weeks from now." 3 weeks, Robert. We can't survive 3 weeks on this. We'll catch fish, collect rainwater. He was saying it as much to convince himself as her. Other boats cross this route. We'll see someone. Lila looked at the broken EPIRB. "We activated it, right? Even broken. Maybe it sent something." "I tried. The display was cracked. I don't know if it transmitted." Robert put his hand on hers. "But we're alive. We have supplies. We're going to make it through this." She finally started crying. Robert held her as the raft drifted on gentle swells, spinning slowly in the current. Dawn came slowly, turning the black ocean gray, then blue. Robert had stayed awake all night, one arm around Lila while she slept fitfully. His head throbbed with every heartbeat, but he forced himself to stay alert. Watch for ships. Watch for anything. Nothing. Just endless water. When the sun cleared the horizon, Lila stirred and sat up. Her eyes were red and swollen. For a few seconds, she looked confused. Then reality crashed back. "It's real. This is really happening." "Yeah," Robert's voice was hoarse. "We need protocols. Water rationing, watch schedules, fishing. Structure keeps us alive." Lila nodded slowly. 1 liter per person per day. Half in the morning, half at night. We measure it exactly. Robert found a small plastic cup in the first aid kit. 4 cups per person per day, no more. They each drank their morning ration. The water tasted like plastic, but it was clean and cool. Robert savored every drop. Food. 1 energy bar per day. We start fishing immediately. Robert pulled out the fishing kit. Basic hand line. 6 hooks, no bait. "I'll try now. Morning's usually good." He baited a hook with a small piece of peanut butter, let the line out about 20 feet and held it, waiting. Lila pulled the emergency blanket from the bag. Thin metallic mylar, maybe 6 feet square. "We can use this for sun protection. Save it for rain collection. That's more important." "Robert, we're already sunburned." She touched his face gently. "Look at your shoulders." He glanced down. His arms and shoulders were already turning pink. The tropical sun would cook them alive. Okay, during peak heat, we drape it over us, but we keep it ready for rain. Lila pulled out her journal. Somehow it had made it into the ditch bag. The pages were water-stained but readable. I'm logging everything. If we make it back, people need to know what happened. When we make it back. When? She opened to a fresh page and started writing. Day 23, yacht destroyed by whale collision. Both survivors uninjured except Robert's head laceration. Current supplies, 8 gallons water, minimal food, basic fishing equipment, sea conditions calm, no ships visible. The fishing line jerked in Robert's hand. I've got something. He pulled carefully, feeling weight and resistance. He hauled it up hand over hand until a small silver fish broke the surface. Maybe 6 inches long, a triggerfish. That's it. Lila stared at their first catch. It's food, it's something. Robert used the knife to kill it quickly, trying not to think about how little meat it would provide. They ate the triggerfish raw at noon. Robert used the knife to fillet it, his hands shaking from hunger and adrenaline come down. The meat was white and surprisingly firm. Lila gagged on the first bite but forced herself to swallow. We need every calorie, Robert said, chewing slowly. Raw fish has more nutrients than cooked anyway. The liver especially. That's where the vitamins are. She ate her half without complaint, then immediately leaned over the side of the raft and vomited it all back up. The smell was terrible in the confined space. Salt water splashed her face as she retched. I'm sorry, she gasped. I couldn't keep it down. It's okay. Your body's in shock. Try again tonight with smaller pieces. Robert ate the liver himself, knowing she couldn't handle it yet. It tasted like copper and salt. But he'd learned to eat worse things during survival training years ago. By afternoon, the sun was merciless. They huddled under the emergency blanket, but the mylar reflected heat down as much as it blocked sun from above. The raft's rubber floor was hot enough to burn bare skin. They took turns pouring small amounts of seawater over each other to cool down, trying not to waste their precious fresh water. My lips are already cracking, Lila said, touching them gingerly. And I'm so thirsty. Don't think about it. Think about anything else. Like what? Our boat at the bottom of the ocean. The fact that nobody's looking for us. Robert didn't answer. She was right. There was nothing good to think about. This story takes time to craft. If you're enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Day 10. Robert carved another mark into the rubber raft wall with the knife tip, adding to the line of thin scratches. 10 days since the whale. 10 days of rationed water and raw fish. 10 days of hope slowly dissolving into grim acceptance. They'd established a rhythm. Dawn fishing until the sun got too hot. Midday rest under the emergency blanket. Evening fishing until dark. Night watches, 4 hours each, watching for ships that never came. Lila had become the better fisher. Her smaller hands were more precise with the hooks, her patience more suited to the endless waiting. She'd caught 8 fish in the past 3 days. Small reef fish, mostly. Nothing over a pound. Robert had caught 3 in the same period. His larger frame requiring more calories, but his success declining as a weakness set in. I've got one, Lila said quietly, hand-lining carefully. She'd learned not to jerk or pull too hard. That just tore the hook free. Slow, steady pressure until the fish tired itself out. Feels bigger than usual. Robert leaned forward to watch. A flash of yellow broke the surface. A small dorado, maybe 10 inches long. Real food. Lila brought it up and over the raft's edge in one smooth motion, grabbing it before it could flop back into the ocean. That's a week of food if we're careful, Robert said, killing it quickly with the knife. You're keeping us alive. They'd lost weight rapidly. Robert estimated he was down 30 pounds, maybe more. His shorts hung loose on his hips, secured with fishing line as a belt. Lila's tank top now draped on her frame like a tent. Her collarbones stood out sharply, her face gaunt and hollowed. The sun had turned them both dark brown, except where the worst burns had peeled, leaving patches of angry red skin. Saltwater sores had developed on their hands and feet, places where skin stayed constantly damp. Lila had tried to treat them with the first aid supplies, but they were running low on antiseptic. "We need rain," she said, cutting the Dorado into portions. "The water's getting low." Robert checked the jugs. Maybe 3 gallons left. At their current ration, that was 6 days. "It has to rain eventually." "Robert, it's been 10 days without a single cloud." Lila's voice was steady, but her hands shook slightly. "What if it doesn't rain for another 10 days? He didn't have an answer. The Pacific could go weeks without precipitation. By then, they'd be dead. "We reduced the ration," he finally said. 3 cups per person instead of 4. That's below survival minimum. So is dying of thirst. Robert took his morning water ration and drank it in careful sips. "We fish more. Fish have moisture in their flesh." Lila nodded and started eating her portion of the Dorado raw. She no longer gagged on raw fish. Her body had adapted. That afternoon, clouds appeared on the horizon for the first time in 10 days. The clouds built throughout the afternoon, stacking higher and darker. Robert watched them with hope and dread. Rain meant water. Rain also meant wind and waves. "Storm's coming, he said, checking the emergency supplies. "We need to secure everything." They'd learned from their first squall on day 6. They'd lost 1 hook overboard and nearly lost the fishing line when wind flipped the emergency blanket into the ocean. Robert had dove in after it, swimming 10 frantic strokes before his fingers closed on the mylar. Now they had a system. Everything went into the ditch bag except what they absolutely needed. Water jugs wedged into the raft's corners. Fishing line wrapped tight around Robert's wrist. The emergency blanket became their rain collector, shaped into a crude funnel, directing rainfall into their largest container. "How long until it hits?" Lila asked. "Hour? Maybe less." Robert could smell it now, that distinctive petrichor scent. "It's going to be rough. We tie ourselves to the raft." They used fishing line to create makeshift tethers around their waists, securing the other ends to the raft's grab handles. If they got thrown into the water, they'd still be connected. The wind hit first. The gentle swells suddenly grew into 3-foot waves, then 4-foot, then 6. The raft climbed each wave and slid down the backside. Spray soaked them within minutes. Then the rain came. It started as scattered drops, then became a deluge. Warm tropical rain that hammered down so hard it stung exposed skin. Lila and Robert held the emergency blanket between them, fighting to keep it positioned as wind tried to tear it from their hands. Water poured into their collection container. 1 gallon, then 2, then 3. "It's working," Lila shouted over the roar. "We're actually collecting it." A wave larger than the others lifted the raft and threw it sideways. Robert lost his grip on the blanket. It whipped away into the darkness. "No!" He lunged for it, but Lila grabbed his arm. "Let it go. You'll go over." They huddled together as the storm intensified. Waves broke over them, filling the raft with a mixture of rainwater and seawater. Robert grabbed the hand pump and started working frantically, trying to bail out the seawater while preserving the rainwater in their containers. The raft flipped. One moment they were upright, the next they were underwater, tumbling in complete darkness. The tether around Robert's waist jerked tight. He kicked toward the surface, lungs burning, disoriented and terrified. His head broke the surface. He gasped for air and immediately got a mouthful of wave. "Lila!" He couldn't see her in the darkness. "Lila, where are you?" "Here." Her voice came from the other side of the overturned raft. "I'm here." They had to flip it back. Robert dove under, found the grab handle, and pushed up with everything he had while Lila pulled from her side. The raft was full of water, heavy and unwilling to move. On the 3rd attempt, it finally rolled over, dumping most of its contents back into the ocean. They climbed back into the raft, shivering despite the warm water. Robert's first thought was their supplies. He grabbed for the ditch bag, still there, secured by its own tether. The water jugs were gone. "The water!" Lila gasped, searching frantically. "Robert, the jugs! I know. They're gone." 3 gallons of fresh water, their entire reserve, somewhere in the Pacific. He grabbed the hand pump and started bailing. "We need to empty this raft before another wave hits." They worked together in mechanical silence, pumping out seawater while the storm raged. The rain had slowed to a steady downpour. Without the emergency blanket, they had no way to collect it. They could only sit with their mouths open, swallowing what little they could catch directly. It wasn't enough. The storm finally passed around midnight. The clouds broke apart, revealing stars and a half-moon that illuminated the wreckage of their survival effort. Robert did a complete inventory by moonlight. The ditch bag had survived with most contents intact. First aid kit, 3 flares, mirror, compass, knife. The fishing line and remaining hooks were still wrapped around his wrist. Lila's journal was still wedged in a corner, soaked but readable. What they'd lost: both water jugs, the emergency blanket, 2 of their 3 remaining energy bars, and 1 can of tuna. Water, 0 gallons. Food, 2 cans of beans, 1 can of tuna, 1 energy bar, half a jar of peanut butter. "We're dead," Lila said flatly. She was shaking from cold and shock. "Without water, we're dead in 3 days. We'll catch rain again. That storm won't be the last." Robert was trying to convince himself as much as her. "And fish. We can drink fish blood if we have to. Fish blood is salty. It'll dehydrate us faster. Then we'll figure something else out." Lila pulled out her journal and opened it to a water-stained page. Day 10. Lost all water reserves in storm. Lost emergency blanket. Position unknown. No ship sighted. Robert's infection has returned. My period stopped completely. We're both losing weight rapidly. "Someone will read it," Robert said. "Someone will find us." "You don't believe that." He looked at her across the dark raft. Her face was skeletal in the moonlight, her eyes hollowed out by hunger and exhaustion. "I have to believe it. The alternative is giving up, and I won't do that." Lila laughed bitterly. "You also promised me a honeymoon in paradise. This is still technically our honeymoon." That got a real laugh, short and harsh but genuine. "Worst honeymoon ever." "I'll make it up to you. 5-star hotel in Hawaii when we get rescued." "Stop. You're making it worse." But she was smiling slightly. "I'd kill someone for a cheeseburger right now." "Do you really think we'll make it?" she asked finally. Robert didn't answer immediately. "I think we've made it this far. That counts for something." Day 11 brought no relief. The sun rose hot and merciless, baking them in the raft. Robert's tongue felt swollen in his mouth, his lips cracked and bleeding. Lila looked worse, her eyes sunken deep into her skull, her skin stretched tight over bone. "We need to try the fish blood," Robert said. His voice came out as a croak. They caught a small reef fish that morning. Robert cut it open and tilted it over a cup, letting the blood drain out. Maybe 2 ounces of dark red liquid collected in the bottom. He took the first sip. The taste was overwhelming. Copper and salt, thick and warm. His stomach immediately cramped in protest. He forced himself to swallow, then handed the cup to Lila. She drank her half without hesitation. Within 10 minutes, they were both leaning over the side of the raft, vomiting into the ocean. The fish blood came back up along with bile and whatever remained in their stomachs. "That was stupid," Lila gasped, wiping her mouth. "We just wasted a fish and made ourselves weaker." Robert had no answer. Every survival option they tried seemed to backfire. They were running out of ideas and running out of time. Day 43. Robert stopped carving marks on the raft after day 30. The act had become too depressing. He knew the count anyway. 43 days since the whale. 6 weeks of slow starvation and dehydration. They'd survived 3 more storms since losing the water jugs. Each time, they'd improvised rain collection using cupped hands and the ditch bag itself, managing to collect maybe a gallon between them. It bought them another few days each time, but the math was unforgiving. The fishing had kept them alive, barely. Lila still caught 2 or 3 fish per day on average, though some days produced nothing. Robert had stopped fishing entirely on day 35. His hands shook too badly to manage the delicate work. He'd become the liability, the dead weight she had to keep alive. "Robert," Lila's voice pulled him from his thoughts. "Look at me." He turned his head. The movement took effort. "You're giving up," she said. Her voice was raspy, her lips cracked and bleeding. "I can see it. You've stopped fighting. I'm just tired. We're both tired, but I need you to stay with me. She grabbed his hand. You don't get to quit, not after everything we've survived. Robert looked at their joined hands. His wedding ring hung loose on his finger, ready to slide off. I'm slowing you down. You'd have a better chance without me. Don't you dare! Lila's eyes flashed with anger. We survived together or not at all. That was always the deal. The deal was I'd get you home safe. I failed. We're not dead yet. She fumbled in the ditch bag, pulling out one of their last 2 flares. We're going to use this, tonight. If there's a ship anywhere within 20 miles, they'll see it. We should save it for when we actually see a ship. When's the last time we saw a ship? 3 weeks ago. Lila shook the flare at him. We've been saving these for the perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. We use them now while we're still strong enough to signal, or we die with unused flares like idiots. She was right. They'd been hoarding the flares, waiting for guaranteed rescue, but guaranteed rescue wasn't coming. Okay, Robert said. We fire one tonight, but that leaves us 2. We space them out. 1 every 3 days. 1 every 3 days, Lila agreed. She set the flare carefully back in the bag, then pulled out their last energy bar. She broke it in half and handed him his portion. Eat. You need your strength. The energy bar was stale and crumbling, but it was food. Robert ate it slowly. It tasted like cardboard and salt, but the sugar hit his system like a drug. For a few minutes, his head cleared. That night, just after sunset, Lila fired the first flare. It arced into the darkening sky, a brilliant red star that burned for 30 seconds before falling into the ocean. They watched the horizon in every direction, hoping for a responding light. Anything. Nothing. Day 67. Robert woke to find Lila crying silently, tears running down her sunken cheeks. What's wrong? He tried to sit up, but his muscles wouldn't cooperate. He'd lost maybe 60 pounds now. I can't remember my mother's face, Lila whispered. I know what she looks like. Brown hair, green eyes. But I can't picture her anymore. It's just gone. Robert understood. His own memories had started fragmenting around day 50. He could remember facts, but not the feeling of living them. It's the malnutrition, he said. The brain needs glucose to form and retrieve memories. We're running on fumes. I don't want to forget her. I don't want to die out here, having forgotten what my own mother looks like. Fresh tears came. I'm so tired, Robert. I'm tired of being hungry and thirsty and scared. I'm tired of pretending we're going to make it. Robert pulled her close, or tried to. His arms felt weak and uncoordinated. We've made it 67 days. That's longer than most people last in these conditions. For what? To die on day 70 instead of day 60. He didn't have a good answer. They drifted over 1,000 miles from their last known position, deep into one of the emptiest parts of the Pacific. No shipping lanes, no fishing grounds, no reason for any vessel to pass nearby. The flares had produced nothing. They'd fired the second one on day 46, the third on day 49. Each time the same result, brilliant red light, then darkness, then crushing disappointment. The point is, we're alive, Robert finally said. As long as we're breathing, there's a chance. Lila pulled away and looked at him with hollow eyes. I need you to promise me something. What? If I die first, you keep going. You don't give up. You do everything you can to make it home and tell people what happened. Tell my parents I love them. Lila, promise me, Robert. He saw the determination in her face, the need for this promise. She was preparing herself for the end. I promise, he said, but only if you promise the same. If I die first, you keep fighting. You get home. You tell my sister I'm sorry. You tell her the last thing I thought about was her and Dad and you. I promise. They sat in silence, holding hands, 2 skeletons in a raft surrounded by endless water. The sun climbed higher, baking them as it had every day for over 2 months. I saw something this morning, Lila said suddenly, before dawn. I thought it was a hallucination at first. What? Birds. Brown boobies, I think. 3 of them, flying east to west. Robert's heart rate picked up slightly. Birds mean land. Boobies usually stay within 100 miles of their nesting sites. So there's land somewhere within 100 miles. Maybe, or we're both hallucinating. Robert checked his father's compass. Which direction were they flying? East to west. Definitely east to west. Lila pointed. That way. Robert tried to remember his navigation training. If they were flying west in the morning, they were likely heading back to roost after a night of fishing. That meant land was west of their position. We need to paddle, he said. If there's land within range, we need to actively move toward it. Paddle with what? We lost the emergency blanket weeks ago. Robert looked around the raft. Then his eyes landed on Lila's journal, a hardback notebook about 8 inches by 10 inches. No, Lila said immediately. That's our record. That's proof of what happened. It's also the only flat surface we have. Robert hated suggesting it. We can paddle with it, a few hours a day, maybe make 5 miles in the right direction. That journal is the only thing keeping me sane. Then we tear out the pages you've already written. We keep those. We use the blank pages and covers as paddles. Lila clutched the journal to her chest. For a long moment, Robert thought she'd refuse. Then slowly she opened it and began tearing out the filled pages. 23 pages of cramped handwriting. She folded them carefully and tucked them into the ditch bag. What remained was a hardback cover and about 50 blank pages. Robert tore the journal in half, creating 2 makeshift paddles. We paddle for 2 hours at dawn when we have the most energy, Robert said. 2 hours at dusk. We save midday for rest and fishing. They started that evening. They knelt facing west and began paddling. The raft barely moved. The current was stronger than their efforts. After 10 minutes, Robert's arms were shaking. After 20, he could barely lift the makeshift paddle. After 30, he had to stop, gasping, his heart hammering. This is pointless, he panted. We're not moving. We moved, Layla insisted. She pointed to floating debris they'd been using as a reference. Look, we've moved maybe 50 yards. 50 yards in 30 minutes. At that rate, they'd cover maybe a mile per day, against currents that move them 10 to 15 miles per day. But it was something. It was action instead of passive acceptance. Okay, Robert said. We keep paddling. Tomorrow morning, 2 more hours. Every day until we hit land or die trying. The next morning, the birds came back. This time, Robert saw them too. Definitely brown boobies, 5 of them. Flying west. Always west. Land was out there. They just had to reach it before their bodies gave out completely. On day 70, Robert developed a fever. The infection in his saltwater sores had finally spread beyond what his weakened immune system could fight. He spent the day shivering despite the tropical heat, drifting in and out of consciousness while Lila caught 2 small fish and forced him to eat. Stay with me, she kept saying. Don't you dare die on me now. Not when we're this close. Day 73. Lila caught a sea turtle. It surfaced near the raft in the late afternoon, a juvenile green sea turtle maybe 2 feet across. She'd seen turtles before, but never close enough to catch. This one came right up to the raft, curious or confused, and she grabbed it before thinking about the consequences. The turtle fought hard. Its flippers slapped at her arms, leaving bruises. Its beak snapped at her fingers. But Lila held on with desperate strength, dragging it over the side of the raft. Robert, wake up. I caught a turtle. Robert opened his eyes. The fever had broken 2 days ago, but he was still weak, barely able to sit up. Kill it, quick, before it gets away. Lila used the knife. It was harder than killing fish. The turtle was bigger, stronger, more aware. She had to stab it 3 times before it stopped moving. Blood covered the bottom of the raft, mixing with seawater. We can't eat all of this before it spoils, she said, staring at the dead turtle. We eat what we can fresh. The rest we try to dry in the sun. Robert crawled closer, examining their catch. The shell. We can use pieces of it. Fishing lures maybe. And there's blood. They drank the turtle's blood first. It was less salty than fish blood, more substantial. This time their stomachs kept it down. Then they butchered the meat, cutting it into strips. Some they ate immediately, the first real meal they'd had in weeks. The rest they laid out on the raft's edges, hoping the sun would preserve it. It was the best day they'd had since the whale struck. Day 90. Robert saw the lighthouse first. He'd been hallucinating for 3 days straight, seeing ships that weren't there, hearing helicopters, smelling his mother's cooking. Lila had learned to ignore his ramblings, focusing on keeping them both alive. She caught fish. She collected sparse rainwater. She paddled west with their disintegrating cardboard paddles. So when Robert grabbed her arm and pointed at the horizon, saying, "Light, there's a light," she assumed it was another hallucination. "Robert, there's nothing there. You need to rest." "No, look, it's stationary. It's not moving with the waves." His voice was weak but insistent. "Lila, I'm not hallucinating this time." She looked. At first, she saw nothing. Then as the sun set and darkness crept across the water, she saw it too. A tiny pinprick of light, steady and unmoving. Not a ship's running lights, not a star, a lighthouse. "Oh my God," Lila whispered. "It's real. It's actually real." They'd found land. The relief lasted about 30 seconds before reality set in. The light was distant, maybe 10 miles away, maybe 20, and they were drifting parallel to it, not toward it. The current was carrying them past whatever island that lighthouse marked. "We have to paddle," Robert said, trying to sit up. "We have to paddle now or we'll drift past it." "You can barely move." "No, we both paddle. This is our only chance." Robert grabbed his half of the journal paddle, now barely more than soggy cardboard. "We paddle until we reach that shore or we die trying." They paddled through the night. Every stroke was agony. Robert's fever had weakened him to the point where lifting the paddle took every ounce of strength he had. Lila was in better shape, but not by much. 70 pounds of weight loss had turned her into a skeleton. The light seemed to get closer, or maybe that was wishful thinking. Dawn came slowly. As the sky lightened, details emerged. Not just a lighthouse, an island. Small, maybe 2 miles across, heavily vegetated, palm trees, a white sand beach, paradise still several miles away. "We're not going to make it," Robert said. His arms had given out an hour ago. "The current's too strong." "Yes, we are." Lila's voice was fierce, almost angry. "We've survived 90 days for this. We're not giving up when we can see land. Keep paddling." But she was right about the current. They could see the island clearly now, close enough to make out individual trees, but they were drifting past it to the south. The current was carrying them parallel to the shore, maybe 3 miles out, moving faster than their pathetic paddling could overcome. By noon, they drifted past the northern tip of the island. It was receding behind them, getting farther away with every passing minute. Lila stopped paddling. She dropped the cardboard into the raft and screamed, a raw, primal sound of rage and despair. "We're not done," Robert said quietly. "Look at the current. It's pushing us south. There might be another island. There's nothing. There's never anything." Lila was crying now, huge gasping sobs. "We saw land and we still couldn't reach it. We're going to die out here." Robert had no answer. She was probably right. Day 92. The current had carried them 20 miles south of the lighthouse island. They could no longer see it. Just ocean. Always ocean. Robert had stopped talking on day 91. He lay in the bottom of the raft, eyes open but unseeing, breathing shallow and irregular. Lila knew he was dying. "Don't you dare," she said to him, her voice hoarse. "Don't you dare leave me alone out here." No response, just those shallow breaths. She caught 2 small fish that afternoon, using the last functioning hook. She ate 1 fish herself, then tried to feed Robert the other. He wouldn't open his mouth. She forced it open, pushed small pieces past his lips, but he didn't chew or swallow. At dawn on day 93, she saw the fishing boat. At first, she thought it was another hallucination. A small wooden vessel, maybe 30 feet long, with a single outrigger and a ragged sail. It was perhaps a mile away, moving slowly across the southern horizon. "Help!" Lila screamed, her voice cracking. "Help! We're here!" The boat didn't change course. Too far away. She grabbed the signal mirror from the ditch bag. Her hands shook so badly she could barely hold it. She angled it toward the rising sun, flashing reflected light at the boat. 3 short flashes, 3 long, 3 short. SOS. Again. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. Again. The boat's sail shifted slightly. It was turning toward them. "They see us," Lila gasped. "Robert, they see us. Wake up. We're saved." Robert didn't move. The boat took 40 minutes to reach them. 40 minutes of Lila flashing the mirror continuously, terrified they'd lose sight of the tiny orange raft. But it wasn't a dream. The boat pulled alongside, and 3 men stared down at her. Local fishermen, skin dark from sun, speaking a language she didn't recognize. They looked shocked at what they were seeing. One man pointed at Robert and said something in rapid question. "He's alive," Lila croaked. "Barely. Please, help us." The men didn't understand English, but they understood the situation. 2 of them climbed down into the raft. One checked Robert's pulse, his neck, his breathing. He looked up at his companions and shook his head slightly. Not dead, but close. They lifted Robert first, carefully passing his skeletal body up to the boat. Then they helped Lila climb aboard. Her legs buckled immediately. She hadn't stood in 93 days. One of the fishermen caught her. The captain pulled out a handheld radio and spoke urgently into it. Lila caught one word she recognized. "Emergency." One of the fishermen brought water in a plastic bottle. Lila grabbed for it, but he pulled it back, shaking his head. He poured a small amount into a cup, maybe 3 ounces, and handed it to her. "Slowly," he said in heavily accented English. "Drink slowly." She forced herself to sip. The water was warm and slightly stale, but it was the most beautiful thing she'd ever tasted. The fisherman asked her something in his language, then tried again in broken English. "How long? How long, water?" 93 days, Lila said. "We've been adrift for 93 days. The 3 men exchanged looks of disbelief. One crossed himself. They gave Robert water next, but he still wouldn't swallow. The fisherman tilted his head back and poured tiny amounts between his lips, massaging his throat. Some went down. Most dribbled out. "Where are we?" Lila asked. "Palmyra," the fisherman said. "Palmyra Atoll. We from Christmas Island, 100 miles south." The captain finished his radio conversation and spoke to his crew. They adjusted the sail and turned north, toward Palmyra. "Hospital?" Lila asked. The fisherman shook his head. "No hospital, Palmyra. Very small. Research station only." He gestured to the radio. "Coast Guard coming. Helicopter. Maybe 2 hours." 2 hours. After 93 days, 2 hours seemed like nothing. One of the fishermen brought food, crackers and dried fish. Lila took one cracker and forced herself to eat it slowly. Her stomach cramped immediately. She took another tiny bite, chewing thoroughly. They tried to give Robert a cracker, but he couldn't chew. He just lay there on the deck, eyes half open, breathing, but not really present. "He needs a hospital," Lila said. "He has an infection. He needs antibiotics." The fisherman nodded but didn't look optimistic. The fishing boat reached Palmyra 90 minutes later. The island was small, green, ringed by white sand beaches. A handful of buildings. The lighthouse on the northern point. They'd been so close. 3 miles away, maybe 4. The fisherman anchored offshore and waited. 15 minutes later, Lila heard it. The distinctive thump of helicopter rotors. A U.S. Coast Guard helicopter appeared over the island, circling once before hovering above the fishing boat. A rescue swimmer dropped into the water and swam to the boat. He climbed aboard and immediately went to Robert, checking his vital signs. "I need to get him to Honolulu immediately," the swimmer said into his radio. "Male, approximately 35, severe malnutrition and dehydration, possible sepsis, non-responsive." Then he turned to Lila. "Ma'am, can you tell me your name?" "Lila Sanders. That's my husband, Robert. We were sailing from San Diego to the Marquesas. A whale hit our boat. Day 22. We've been in the life raft for 93 days. The rescue swimmer's eyes widened. 93 days. Jesus. "Okay, we're getting you both to a hospital. Can you stand?" "I don't think so." "That's fine. We'll hoist you up." They lifted Robert first, strapping him into a rescue basket and winching him up into the helicopter. Then they sent the basket back down for Lila. The fisherman helped her into it, and suddenly she was rising into the air, the fishing boat shrinking below her, the ocean spreading out in every direction. From above, she could see how vast it was. The fact that they'd survived even one day seemed like a miracle. 93 days seemed impossible, but they'd made it. They were going home. Inside the helicopter, a medic immediately started an IV in Lila's arm, saline solution flowing into her dehydrated body. Another medic worked on Robert, checking his blood pressure, his temperature, his oxygen levels. BP 70/40, the medic said. Core temp 94.2. He's in hypovolemic shock. We need to move fast. The helicopter banked hard and accelerated toward Honolulu, 3 hours away at top speed. Your husband's very sick, the medic told Lila, but you got him here. That's what matters. You saved his life by keeping him alive this long. Lila looked at Robert lying on the stretcher, tubes and wires attached to his skeletal frame. She'd kept him alive, barely, by sheer stubbornness and refusal to let him die. Will he make it? She asked. The medic hesitated. We're doing everything we can. That wasn't an answer, but it was honest. And after 93 days of ocean lies and false hope, Lila appreciated honesty. If this story meant something to you, drop a comment and share it. It helps the next person find their way here.